Ruth had something we all need, and the Bible calls it a guardian redeemer. And you have to hear this story. If you're not familiar with Ruth, her story is pivotal to God's relationship with all of us because Ruth was an outsider. She was a Moabite. She was in the promised land, but she was not one of God's chosen people, the Israelites. She was there, and this story starts with Naomi. She's from Bethlehem and she has these two sons and her husband. There's a famine, so they leave Bethlehem and they go, and her sons marry these two Moabite women. Now, Naomi's two sons die, and her husband dies, so she's widowed, and all she has left are these two daughter in laws. So they're not blood related to her, and Naomi is going back to Bethlehem. She's leaving where she had been for 10 years. And this is where Ruth's story really picks up because Ruth, in those 10 years, whatever she saw in this Israelite family, she was drawn to their God and to their people. And she tells her, she gives this very famous speech, and she says, your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you go, I'm going to go. And I will, where you die, I will die. So she is crying out. She's saying, not even death is going to separate us. And she is determined. So Naomi just gives in and says, okay, you can come with me. But I mean, what is there for you in this foreign land? You're going to Bethlehem. You're a Moabite. Your husband is dead. Why not stay with your own people? But Ruth was determined, and she goes with Naomi to Bethlehem. And that's where she begins what the word calls gleaning the field. And if you've heard that word glean before, like when you're, what did you glean from that conversation? That word takes up a whole new meaning when you realize that this was something that outsiders did. These were something like if you were homeless, if you were a widow, if you were a foreigner, and you were just kind of traveling through, you had the main workers in the field who, this was harvesting season. When Ruth shows up in Bethlehem, they are gathering the harvest. So, some prophetic things taking shape here in Bethlehem, where our Messiah is going to uh, eventually be born. Here we see her gleaning the field, doing what somebody who is an outsider, a foreigner would do. You got these main workers taking the main crops, and Ruth is just going behind them, picking up the leftovers, the remnants. And while she's doing this, she gets the attention of a man named Boaz. Now, he owns the field, and Naomi has spoken to Boaz about Ruth, and Boaz is impressed. Here's this woman who left her family and her familiar comfort zone, and she wants to be a part of God's people. And Boaz has compassion on her, and he says, look, you can drink from our water, you can work with our women, stay in our fields where you're safe. And he offers her kind of a safe haven here. And Ruth is so just thankful for this relationship. And Boaz is explained to her by her mother in law. She says that this man has been kind to both the living and the dead, and she describes him as our guardian redeemer. And wow, what a statement she was making, because Ruth, if you follow her story, she marries Boaz. They have children, and Ruth becomes the great grandmother of none other than King David himself. So God takes this outsider, gives her a guardian redeemer, brings her into his family, and she has a direct tie to our Lord and Messiah through the line of King David. What a wonderful guardian redeemer that our Father has given us, bringing us into his family. Thank you all for listening. God bless.